welcome to my new craft room. I'm very excited to be doing a quick craft room tour for you. It's going to be pretty quick because there's not much in here yet. We've been gradually doing up our house this year. We bought it at the beginning of the year and it's been a bit of a project. So we finally got the carpets in upstairs, and that means that I've been able to put some furniture in here finally. So I'll just give you a quick rundown of what I've got up here so far. Over on this side, this is my storage wall. We've got a little unit here that I got off Facebook Marketplace, and it was obviously used originally for DVDs or CDs or something. Just a little wooden shelf, and I think it'll be great for storing little bits and bobs. Then we've got two IKEA Billy bookcases with the doors. I've had them for years. They've been in storage for the last couple of years while we've been traveling, so it's nice to have them back. We did have to fix them to the wall at the top because they were a bit topply, and I was a bit worried that they were going to fall on me when I opened the doors. So it took us a while to work out how to do that, but we found the studs in the walls, and we've managed to, when I say we, my partner did all of the hard work there. He found the studs in the walls and screwed the brackets to the wall, so they're nice and sturdy now. So that'll give me good storage, and also some at the top there's some good display space. Now the bookcase on the left is one that I've had, I think I was about 15 when I got that, so I've had that for years and years and years. It's a really great timber bookcase. I really love it, so that's still with me and going strong. This little bookcase, that's not a bookcase, that's a chest of drawers. I found that on Facebook Marketplace. I really loved the colour of it, and also it's got cute vintage handles, so I thought that'll be perfect for my craft room. And when I went to pick it up, the man that was selling it said, "Oh, do you want this other little chest of drawers?" It looked like it's a CD storage unit. You can have it for free. So I did. I was very grateful for that. It's actually still down in the garage. I need to paint it, but I thought that's fantastic. And free, can't get better than free. Which brings me onto my desk, which was another freebie from Facebook Marketplace. It's one of those IKEA, I can't think of the name of them now, Alex book drawer units. So the drawers and the desk legs are in good condition, but the tabletop itself has a fair bit of water damage just in the corner. It's not in very good condition there, and there's a bit of a ding in it here as well. It's fine for now, but I do want to get a bigger one at some stage, so I'll replace that at some point soon. So I've got my stack of books in the corner. I've just finished filming an unboxing of those. Of course, I've done it around the wrong way, but that's what editing is for. So so you'll see those in a couple of minutes probably, if you stick around. There's my stack of boxes that still needs to be unpacked. I've forgotten what half of the stuff in those boxes is, so it'll be fun for me to unpack them. And this is the wardrobe. I have actually taken out the hanging rail, and so I'll just have drawers in there. These drawers on the side were ones, again, it's another, Facebook Marketplace has been fantastic for me. They weren't free, but they were pretty cheap, so I grabbed them a little while ago, and they fit in perfectly. So I've got heaps of those little plastic storage shelves, storage drawers as well. They're mostly ones that I've picked up at different times from op shops. So I'm just getting started with all of the unpacking, and through my great unboxing videos, hopefully you'll get to see some of the stuff or some of my goodies. But before I move on to the next part, I'll just show you my view. I'm pretty impressed about this. I've just emptied a couple of boxes of books from my huge stash of craft bits and pieces that I've had in storage over the last few years. This is part of my great unboxing series. It's also because pretty much without exception, all of these books have come from op shops over the last year or so. So I'm also going to use the hashtags opshopcrafter because most of them are actually for my junk journaling, and I will also use the hashtag Thrifty Thursday because I'll try to get these videos out on Thursdays as well to be able to use that hashtag. So let's get started. I'm not going to show you every single book that I unpacked because that would just be really boring. I'll just give you an overview of some of the types of books that I keep an eye out for when I'm op shopping. And these ones, I suppose, are some of my favourites, some of the highlights that I've found in recent times. So first up, I'll start with this Parrots book because it's the biggest one, and it'll be good to get it out of the way. It's not in very good shape. The covers are all starting to come off and there's a lot of spotting. I mean, as a junk journaler, I don't mind that aging, but it just means that I feel okay if I want to cut it up. There's lots of fantastic images in the book. They're really big pages, but they're matte paper and they're just lovely pictures. Absolutely beautiful. So some of these smaller images I could use quite easily in a junk journal, whereas some of the bigger pictures are going to be quite a challenge to work out how to incorporate them into a junk journal if I do decide that I want to do that. But they're just beautiful images, so I thought it was worth a try. And even if it just sits on my shelf, I still love the book. I've got a few books here that are all colouring books, but they're not just the typical colouring book. They're really interesting ones. This one actually looks at different styles of wallpaper over the years. So there's line drawn versions of some old wallpaper styles that you can colour in. This one had a little bit of colouring in it, but not very much when I bought the book. I'm not sure that I would colour it in. I may do, depends on the journal. But even just the line drawings, and there's lots of opportunities to fussy cut the pug portraits and the furniture and that sort of thing. So at the front as well, there's a few pages that have photographs of wallpapers as well. So a few different ways that I can use that book. These ones, these two here, the Butterflies and the Kew Gardens books, are lovely because they've got both the colouring in page, but the facing page is a watercolour or a colour image, basically a colour version of the painting for you to copy. So I can use these pages, I can cut out the bugs, I can cut out the flowers, I can do do whatever I want with that. Or I can use the actual line drawings as well. So there's a lot of versatility with these ones. And similarly, this one has the flowers coloured on one side and line drawings on the other. This one's put out by Kew Gardens. That's one of the places that's definitely on my bucket list. One of these days I'd love to go to Kew Gardens. And Birdtopia, another colouring book. This one has a sort of a creamy grey background, which is a little bit different. Mostly just line drawings, but some beautiful birds and flowers in here. And there are a small number of coloured pages, and some pages that have a combination of coloured, and this one's just got one little coloured section. But predominantly they're all the black and white images. But beautiful, beautiful, beautiful drawings. I love them. So that's those ones. While we're on the subject of gardens, I always look for garden and plant books. I don't seem to find a lot of books that have drawings in them rather than photographs. I don't know if that's peculiarly an Australian thing, but I find it difficult to find books with paintings and drawings in them. So when I saw this one, I thought, oh, that one's fantastic. It's got all of these little flip out bits, and it's quite an interesting concept. So there's the little pop out. These are all die cut flowers and shrubs and plants. And then there's pages and pages of different ones. And they're all real ones as well. So that one's dianthus. Oh, there's a few dianthus, alyssum, baronia. So it shows you the relative sizes of the plants as well. And then you can use those punch outs on these pages that have the little slots in them, so you can actually plant yourself a garden and just have a look and see what the plants would look like together, what their sizes are, and that sort of thing. So I thought that was really cute. They're nice little pictures in there. And something that I'm always looking for is old atlases and Refidexes. Refidexes, for those of you who don't know, are just street maps, books of street maps. They're a little bit obsolete now with Google Maps. This one has obviously been used at school, so there's a tracing of the outline of Australia. But I like this one. This one's pretty old. It's got some great old sort of looking maps of Australia. 3rd edition. So this one's a bit beat up. It's hard to even read what the title is on the spine. But it is about ballet. And I can't remember if I found a date on this one. Let me just quickly check. Oh, early 50s. 1953 was the most recent printing. So the photos, and because they are photos, but they're the photos that have that lovely old quality that almost make them look like paintings in some cases. So there's some fantastic photos of the ballet dancers, different performances and costumes. I never actually did ballet as a kid, but who doesn't love a ballerina? There are some kind of classic ballerina photos. There we go. They're just beautiful. So I'm sure I'll be able to do something with those ones as well. And music paper. Of course, we all love our music paper. I've got a combination here of the song books. So, you know, most of them have got maybe a dozen songs in them, and also the single song sheets. So these ones date from between the late, I think it was the late 30s through to the about the 70s, I think, with the later ones. It might have been the 60s. So I've got quite a few of these, and they're just standard old music paper. I always look for songs that I know and think that I can use snips of the words, but that's not always possible. Hank's favourite songs, the Yodeling Ranger from Canada. These ones were from the early 40s. I think they're about 43 and 44. So there's some nice yellowing on the pages. There's two of those. And an old book of wartime songs. I think this one was from the 30s from memory. And this one, Australian songs. There, it's not very PC looking at the cover. That I don't think you'd get away with that today. But some of the song names are pretty funny. I like this one. When a boy from Oodnadatta met a girl from Parramatta. That's very Aussie. This one was from the 60s, this book. And this one, a book of kids' songs. I didn't find a year on it. It's in pretty good condition, so I don't think it's all that old, but it's got a cute cover. And then these ones are just single song sheets. One of the things I love about these is that even when the cover is not particularly exciting, the backs often have coloured music paper, so I always look for these as well. So these ones ranged in age from kind of I think the earliest one of these ones that I had in this stack was from about I think it was about 1916 or something, and then through to the 50s, the early 50s. So you get some nice images on the front. This one's a pretty one. This is one of the older ones. And that one's got purple song paper on the back. Blue on the back. And this one's pretty cool. It's got pink on the back, of course, being pink. I think I've got a few stashes of these in my stuff, so you'll probably see a few more of these along the way. The Pirates of Penzance, that always, without fail, makes me think of that scene in Pretty Woman when they're at the opera. If you know, you know. And Orange Carnival of Venice. That one's got red on the back. So they're pretty cool. Now, of course, we all love our vintage fashion, but one of the places that I quite enjoy finding vintage fashion images is in old sewing books. So this one is this the one that was made for home ec students. So it's actually published by the same people who put out Day-to-Day Cookery. I don't know if any of you guys had that at high school. I've still got my Day-to-Day Cookery from grade 8. It's not in very good condition anymore. But this one is a sewing textbook, There's lots of diagrams on how to do sewing, how to do patterns. I like that this one has the red as a bit of an accent as well. There aren't a lot of pictures in this one of full garments, but there are a few. That's mostly sewing. And this one was, let me just check the date. 1966 was the second printing of this one, so there's some good 60s images in here. It has a lot of these sort of black and white and single colour images. I really like them. There's a few different colours as well, that lovely teal colour, mustard, and there are some coloured bits as well. Appliques. And some photos of, well, photos, they're not photos, they're drawings of ladies. So that's a cool one. And this one, I like this one, but I was hoping that because it was a McCall's book that it would have some of the, like the pattern images like you get on the front of dress patterns, but it doesn't really have much of that sort of thing. It's mostly sewing instructions. So still good source of images, but just not the fashion type images. This book with its lovely green velvety cover is a record of drawings of gowns of the year, Australian gowns of the year. So it must have been at like the fashion show each year where they judged that, and it dates from, the first gown of the year was 1953, and that competition went through for quite a few decades, and the last one was, I think it was in 1993. So there are pictures of all of the winning gowns through the decades. To the 80s. Oh, the last one was 92. There we go, so that was the final one. And another source of really good vintage fashion images, I think, is knitting and crochet books. So this is a crochet book. Let's see if I can find a date, because we'll like to know the dates. I can't see a date there, but they're great pictures. I'm guessing 60s. That's great, I love that. Why did that ever go out of fashion? Although ponchos I suppose were 60s and 70s. Lovely. And the back is just instructions. They can also be a really good source of pictures of men's fashions. So some of the knitting books have really great posed images, you know. They don't all have this many particularly coloured images. This was a pretty good one for coloured images, but it is a good source to keep a lookout for. So that's those ones. And being a 70s baby, I was a teenager in the 80s. So if I ever see any good 80s patterns, I jump on them as well. So these ones are very nostalgic to me personally. The other ones are nostalgic, but you know, they were already nostalgic when I was a teenager, whereas this is the sort of stuff I wore. So I had a nana, I still have a nana, that loved knitting, and as a teenager I had so many fantastic big jumpers like this, bright colours. It was great. She doesn't really knit anymore, she doesn't knit at all anymore, but I have very good memories of all of the things that she used to knit for me when I was younger. These ones just scream 80s, don't they? They're great. 80s pastels, brights and pastels. And there's another Vogue knitting magazine. This one is from 1982 by the look of it. How's that for an 80s hairdo? If it wasn't that, it was the big buffy hair, big buffy curly hair. Okay, let's move on to more generic crafty books. Now, again, the knitting and crochet books are a great source of images. I buy this sort of stuff a lot, and invariably when I take them up to the counter, the ladies behind the counter will say, "Oh, do you crochet?" or "Oh, do you knit?" No, I can't crochet or knit. I just like the pictures. So some of these, interestingly, you would think that mostly it would be doilies, but you do get some really lovely sort of fashion style shots as well in some of them, because of the fancy collars. And this is one that's been used, the edging has been used on lingerie, and there's another one in here of gloves as well. So you do get some fashion type images as well, but even just these little snippets, they're lovely. This one's crochet. Oh, actually there's a stack of crochet ones. There's an op shop that I go to quite regularly that has a filing cabinet full of knitting, crochet and sewing patterns, and I always have a look through there to see if there's anything good in there. I've probably cleaned them out of what they had in there building up over time, because I've been there a few times now. But I love these because, you know, I mean, you can put real doilies into a junk journal, but how good is it to just use a picture as well? And even though most of these are black and white, you can add colour to them using coloured pencils or marker pens or watercolour paints, whatever you want. So yeah, I love these books. Always keep an eye out for them. And because not too many people actually crochet doilies anymore, so they're not really all that popular. These are two that I think I will keep as reference books. This one because I like the idea of one of these days making some string art. I don't know, I probably will never get around to it, but if I ever do get the time, I've got the instructions. And this one I'm going to keep as a reference. One of these days, I'm going to try my hand at some crochet and some embroidery. So this book goes through all the different needle crafts, and then if I ever do decide that I'm not going to keep it, these pages would be fantastic as just as a page in a signature. They're a really good size for that. So I think that it'll be a good reference for me though. So I think it will just stay on my shelf for now. Okay, so kids books, another big category. I've got a couple of versions of Alice's Adventures in Wonderland. This one is just hardback cover with some of the classic images in it. It's got the goldy page edges. I don't know if you can see how well you can see that, but they're not in great condition. This one is actually has both books, Alice in Wonderland and Through the Looking Glass. Again, it's got the classic images throughout it, but it also has a second story on the back. So 5 Little Peppers and How They Grew. This one was on a clearance table, so I got it for $1. It was originally priced at $6. There's no way I would have ever paid $6 for it, but for $1, yes please. Little golden books. Obviously everybody loves finding little golden books for junk journaling. I have a good collection of little golden books still from when I was a kid, and there's no way I would ever be able to cut them up because they're just part of me. They're so sentimental to me. But if I ever see any little golden books in op shops for a decent price, I always grab them. So Shy Little Kitten, I know I've got the Shy Little Kitten in my collection, but that's one I can actually use. And Bozo and the Hide and Seek Elephant, again, I'm pretty sure I've got that one. Queenie the elephant. So great illustrations for junk journaling. Rand McNally books as well. You don't see too many of these around now, but I like them as well. Again, I'm pretty sure I had this one as a kid too. It looks really familiar to me. This one I've never seen before I bought it. I did, which means I didn't have it as a kid, is what I'm trying to say. Even though I didn't know the story, I like the style of the illustrations, so I thought that would be a good one to pick up. I don't think it was very expensive, so I don't pay a lot for things that I think I'm going to cut up. Something that I am always on the lookout for are these big collections of fairy tales. So this one is an interesting one because it's stories from around the world. There's a lot of stories that I don't know from my own childhood. Obviously there are a lot of them as well, but for instance there's this story from Rwanda, the sunbird. This one's from New Guinea, the Netherlands, you know, and there's the lovely vintage style illustrations that I really like. I think this book was from the 60s. Oh, 1970, so close. But there's a lot of different stories in that one. This one is a more sort of traditional European fairy tales book, and I love this sort of style. I think this era of fairy tale books, you know, this is when I was growing up, this sort of style, and I just really love it. Again, the nostalgia is a big thing. I think that's one of the things I love about junk journaling. It gives me a good excuse to wallow in nostalgia. And similarly, this one has that lovely vintage feel to it. Combination of black and white and coloured images. This one also has fables in it as well, so it's not just fairy tales. And this one, again, similar sort of idea. You do see a lot of fairy tale books in the op shops, but often they're newer ones, and the illustrations are lovely, but I like these vintage style illustrations because I'm vintage myself, so I think that's why I like them. So I'm always looking for fairy tale books. This is another thing that I always keep an eye out for, just novels that have nice coloured hard covers. I don't care if they're a bit beaten up, that just adds to the charm. There's a couple of places that I tend to have good luck with old books like this. One is, they're both op shops near where my parents and my grandmother live, and they both have stands outside. One usually has books for 20 cents and 50 cents, things that haven't sold inside, and the other one sometimes has a trolley with freebies in it. So these have all got an X on them, so they've obviously come from the same place. I suspect, I can't remember for sure, but I suspect these ones came from the free trolley. So I specifically picked these up for their covers. The insides are just text. This one has that yucky paper that feels a bit gross. So I'll probably at some stage just cut the cover off and use the cover. But I like that old mustardy sort of colour on that cover. This one's a really pretty cover. I don't know if that's coming up on the video, but this part is actually embossed, so that's lovely. And there's a lovely gold image on the spine, and it's really old. Like the paper is lovely and aged, so I liked that one. And this one's one of those ones that has the picture pasted onto the cover. There's a bit of wear on the spine, so that'll need to be fixed. And the pages themselves are nothing terribly special, but I like the cover. And when you can pick them up for, free or for 20 cents, it's fine, it's worth doing. Dictionaries are another one. This one's a Latin and English dictionary, so there'll be some Latin in there as well, which is interesting. This one is an encyclopedic dictionary, so it's got images in it as well. So that's pretty cool. Tortoise. What else have we got? Nice carriage. Vinaigrette. The images are a bit random in those sometimes. I also like foreign language text, so these are some that I've picked up along the way. I used Google Translate to work out what they are about. This one is an Italian book. The title is Compendium of the History of Philosophy. So I knew it was something about philosophy, but that's what it's called. So it's a nice old one. Again, the nice aging on the edges of the paper, and it's all in Italian. Google Translate tells me that this one is in Punjabi, so that's a bit different. It's a really interesting style script. The title is a name. It's B.J. Singh. So I think it's like a biography or something, or some kind of something about history or something like that. So I didn't go to the extent of translating the the text in the book. And this one is a Chinese novel. The English translation is Beauty Dew, and it's got a lovely Chinese script in the columns, and obviously their books go in the reverse to ours, which is interesting. And I think this is my last little stack, and I think we will all appreciate these ones, being probably most of us junk journalists. It's the Edwardian lady herself, Edith Holden. So I've got a couple of books, of those books. One is the standard country diary of an Edwardian lady with all of its beautiful drawings, paintings and text. So I've got a copy of that. That's lovely. I also have the nature notes of an Edwardian lady, which is similar. It's got lovely images. I've not actually cross-referenced to see if they're the same images or if they're different ones, but the text is actually printed, or it's typed text rather than handwriting. So similar sort of book though, so they're pretty wonderful. I also have this one, which is the story of Edith Holden's life. It goes through where she grew up, her early childhood, early influences, family, when she got married, her, basically goes through her life. So that one I'm going to actually read because I'm interested to learn more about her, and I may also then down the track use it for junk journaling, but I may not as well. And this one is a book about Ellis Rowan, so her travels in Australia and New Zealand. So she was a painter. So she travelled quite extensively in Australia and New Zealand. So this is another one I think would be a really interesting read. Isn't that beautiful? Water lilies. So not oodles of pictures in there, but enough to keep me happy anyway. So that is the last of the stack of books that I wanted to show you in this video. I will be unboxing more of my huge stack of boxes in the next few days, so I'll film those and put them up just in case you're interested in having a sticky bake. Thanks for joining me, and I'll see you